Listen, game just ended. Game just ended. We're still in a little bit of the overreaction phase. Bear that in mind. The sentiments might change throughout the week, but we are in Sunday. We're on a blowout loss to the Tennessee Titans. A Tennessee Titans team the Cincinnati Bengals typically handle. Tennessee Titans team the Bengals have beaten 3 straight times. Even when the Bengals are horrible and Joe Burrow lost at the end of the season on an ACL, the Bengals beat the Titans. The Bengals have had a number, the Titans number, they've had a way to beat the Titans year in and year out. And the Titans, the only thing that's changed this season since the years past is their offensive line's become one of the worst in the league, and their team has gotten older. The run game's starting to disappear, and it felt like none of that mattered today against the Cincinnati Bengals as the Titans worked this Bengals team. And the Bengals, for the 4th straight game, go without scoring a touchdown offensively in the first half. And it feels like 1-3. The panic button does start to click. 0-2, okay. 1-2, all right, bouncing back. 1-3, you start to wonder and you start to question things. I think as a Bengals fan, with Joe Burrow as your quarterback, you know good and well it doesn't really matter. There is never such thing as a panic button because he's the coolest, calmest, collected guy in the league. He's going to be that leader, that captain that finds a way to win football games. Will the Bengals still finish 8-9? Sure. 9-8? Probably with Joe Burrow. Always going to happen. Could the Bengals still win 11 games this season? Absolutely. But you start to really have to dive deeper into things, I think, here and say, is this coaching staff holding the team back? Are we starting? It's very easy every single year when little things happen, bad things happen. You always look at the coaching staff. Oh, it was 3rd and 3. Should have called this. They called that. Or it was 4th and 2. They should have did this. They did that. It's very easy to micromanage. And I think we're trying to exclude that. But you have to look at the bigger picture and say, this isn't the micromanaging. It's a bigger picture game planning. When you go 4 straight games without scoring a touchdown in the first half with what is supposed to be one of the most prolific offenses in the league, what is supposed to be a future Hall of Fame quarterback, and you can't score a touchdown in the first half, I get it. He's had some ankle problems. Okay, that's fine. He can't throw the ball deep. Okay, that's fine. Look what the Los Angeles Rams have been doing this season with Stafford, dinking and dunking with Nakua and company, just running and wreaking havoc on teams with a short game. Figuring out ways to beat teams with the short game. We watched it against the Titans. We mentioned this a couple of times now. Where's the game plan to get Chase and Higgins in a short game? They don't. It's 3rd and short, and the Bengals are running 15-yard routes down the field. We have seen this time in and time again for the last 3 years under Zach Taylor. And I think that's where you start to question things and say, hey, if he's getting out game planned in the first half every single game, that's a coaching problem. You start to question and say, hey, seriously, the leash has been long. I've been as patient as anybody with Zach Taylor saying, hey, he's an open-minded coach. He seems like he's willing to learn and improve. But you're allowed to have those words. Sometimes your actions always speak louder than your words. But he's had those words, but have the actions backed it up. Because for the 3rd straight year, we've seen the same thing. This isn't something new with the Bengals and Zach Taylor. It's been 3 straight years of starting slow. And then Joe Burrow carries this team to victory. The defense finds a way to make big stops, carries this team to victory. But if you want to be a serious contender year in and year out, you can't afford to be a slow starter every single season, and that becomes reflective of the coach and the game plan put on the field. So do we start to question Zach Taylor walking out this door and seriously questioning it? Because you really start to put question into this. Remember when Marvin Lewis was fired? Bengals won 6 games that season, right? And a lot of people were saying, hey, this team should be winning the games and making playoffs. They felt like it was a playoff contender. And Marvin Lewis has got to go. Obviously, there was the fact that he couldn't win a big game, but it felt like it is a playoff contender. If the Bengals made playoffs that season, Lewis probably don't get fired. Zach Taylor comes in and wins 2 games with that same roster. Then Joe Burrow comes around. Again, Zach Taylor started slow out the gate. Understandable. So Burrow started slow out the gate. They was getting torched on the offensive line. Understandable. But you start to wonder the Joe Burrow effect. Coach O and LSU, look how quick he got fired when Burrow left. You start to wonder that Joe Burrow effect, how much of an impact he has on his coaching staff, how much he brings up this coaching staff. And in retrospect, a good coaching staff, a good coach, or even an average one, his job is to bring the best out of the players. It shouldn't be the players bringing the best out of the coach. And you wonder if Zach Taylor is holding back Joe Burrow. We've said time and time again, it's like what Joe Burrow needs to do is stand back there 5 wide and call the plays himself and have more control of the offense. And we see time and time again, 3rd and short, big thing with the Bengals, 3rd and short, and they run these deep routes with the receivers. We talk about it with Chase and Higgins a lot too. It's like, yeah, you wonder, and this is big with Taylor, it's worked in the past, and maybe that's why we're seeing it now, is teams are starting to get the tape. Like Tennessee was a perfect example. Vrabel was a great coach. Vrabel wasn't going to lose to you 3 times in a row because he's a great coach, and he figured out your game plan, said, all right, what do we have to do to beat this Bengals team? Where they beat us 3 times, how they've been doing it. And I think the way the Bengals beat teams is the intermediate to long game in a pass game, and maybe some screen plays, whatever, let Joe Burrow get these guys out wide. But what we're learning is if you bracket coverage Higgins and Chase in the intermediate to long game, they haven't been willing to use them in a short game. We've seen it a couple times today. I said, hey, Chase wide open on these slant routes. When they run him, he's wide open. They don't game plan for that, though. The Bengals have been dependent on, let's let the tight end slide out late. And if you're a defense, you're saying, okay, we just we contain these guys deep. And we just have to hope a third string tight end doesn't beat us. So that sounds like a great game plan to me. And you wonder if a lot of teams are picking up on that. And you wonder if the Bengals aren't readjusting. Because, again, we've talked about this. You want to really make things interesting. We've seen in the game, get Chase on a slant, get him on a drag route, get him on a fake out, come back in, make teams respect him underneath, give him a chance to get open in the open space, make that safety come down a little bit. The double move gets respected a little bit more, opens things up for Higgins. It interests me, some of the play calls we see from that regard. And you wonder if the game, again, you go back to the game planning. Is this a Zach Taylor thing? I would imagine it's not what Joe Burrow is only wanting the entire game. But we're seeing, the issue with that is when the offensive line struggles like this, it's like, okay, that's great. Our guys are running deep here, but it's like we're depending on other players, the outlet pass to the tight end or the running back to get open so Burrow doesn't get killed. I don't know. My mind's all over the place, to say the very least, right now with Zach Taylor. Again, I felt like this guy, when Burrow came, he said, hey, give me some plays. Give me your favorite plays. We're going to incorporate them to the offense. I felt like he was very open-minded. He was very adaptive to things. And then now, again, it's worked in the past. This is an AFC championship team, been an AFC championship 2 straight seasons. So it's like, oh, we can't, you got to wonder, is it micromanaging? Are you overanalyzing? Are you panicking this early in the season? Or is there a serious problem here? And it's just been Joe Burrow is that good of a quarterback that he's kind of overdid it for this team. Because really, it's been with defense. Money Mac did it 1 year. It's been the defense. Joe Burrow making big plays when he needs to, in a 2-minute drill when he has more control of the offense. Late in games when he has more control of the offense. When this offense has flourished, and it's been the defense making big stops to help push this team through the playoffs and winning games. And again, that's because Lou Anarumo was an excellent coach. Joe Burrow is an excellent quarterback. You're going to win a lot of games with some good defense and a Hall of Fame quarterback. That's just going to happen. So it makes you question things because it feels like over the 3 years, we haven't seen this offense evolve at all. I could be wrong. Have we seen the offense evolve at all under Zach Taylor? And that's where we start to question things. Because if the offense ain't evolving, you're losing key pieces on defense. It's borderline insanity to try the same thing over and over again and think something different is going to happen. This offense should be one of the best offenses in the league. And it's struggling mightily. And it feels like, could be a panic, but it feels like the locker room starting to lose some confidence in the coaching staff. Starting to feel like, oh, here we go again. The offense stalls out. Now the defense, the defense made a big stop early, and it's all of a sudden the offense started stalling out. The defense is getting worn down. The defense is going to be all right. As soon as the offense figures things out, I think the defense will be perfectly fine. They're not going to be as good as it was because that secondary is just not as good as it was. But, I think they'll be fine to where they can make stops, keep the team in games, make some big stops when they need to. But when you're constantly in the field all game, you're worn down, you're gassed, understandably so. When offense figures it out, we'll see that reflective. But when that world's falling down, the sky's falling, you start to really analyze it all. How many offensive linemen have the Bengals brought in and developed under Zach Taylor? I mean, how many defensive linemen have the Bengals brought in and developed under Zach Taylor? You had your slam dunk. I felt like T. Higgins fell to you, your slam dunk and Chase. And so you really start to question that. As an offensive-minded coach, you feel like you should have a dominant offensive line. The run game should be great. The quarterback should be moving the football up and down the field. To be struggling in that regard with an offensive-minded coach, it does make you wonder. I'll joke about it all we want. I've thought about it. It's like, what if you fired Zach? You brought Lou Anarumo as your head coach. He's a defensive-minded head coach, so he's going to make sure you're winning defensively. Burrow has proven he can carry just about any coach offensively. You just get a coach that comes in there and says, hey, we're going to give Burrow more control of the offense, and I'm going to make sure we have a dominant team in the trenches, and this team's going to win a lot of Super Bowls. I firmly believe that. But clearly, what's working right now for the Bengals, what's happening to the Bengals right now is not working. Will they give Taylor the entire season to figure it out? We'll see. Probably. Knowing the Bengals are going to give him the entire season. And you know what? We could look back 5 weeks from now, Bengals could be 6-3 and say, all right, we're good. But that doesn't change the fact that the same thing's been happening year in and year out. And you have to question, is that worth it? Do you want to keep that in your team? Do you want that to be in your organization? Or do you want to become a team that's more known for dominating teams early? You get the lead early. I mean, that changes everything. Changes your pressure on your quarterback, changes the injuries. You can rest guys more often. The pressure on your quarterback's not going to be as much. He's going to be healthier because you're wearing down defenses early. Your defense is going to get more rest. They're going to be well rested. Whether injuries ain't going to have there's a big impact on starting out hot and not having to come from behind and win every single football game. Nonetheless, we'll see. Overreaction Sunday coming in hot though. Love you guys' thoughts. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.